Good cross to Davies. 1-1.
They never expected him to rise. Not from Holywell, not from silence, not from a place where footballers were born without futures. Ronald Tudor Davies came from the north of Wales, where the sky stayed grey, the boots stayed heavy, and the only thing that jumped was the wind off the coast. But this boy, he was different. Not loud, just something in the way he moved, quiet hips, and a leap that didn't make sense. They made him hurdle in army boots. Crude drills, stone, hard, ground. No sports science, no trainers, but he said later, "When I took those boots off, I felt I could jump over the moon," when, that wasn't a quote, it was prophecy. At Chester, he signed at 17. No welcome video, no noise. Dock, just mud, weight, and grown men with elbows like razors. He scored 45 goals in 94 games. Nobody celebrated. They just whispered about the hang time. He didn't run past defenders. He rose over them, like he wasn't playing the same sport. No fanfare, no attention, but football was watching quietly. Luton took him. Then, Norwich paid big, and Wales came calling at 21. But this was just the start, because the world hadn't seen what happened. When you aimed across at Ron Davies, they would. Subscribe. If you believe some legends were built to rise, even when no one was watching. He didn't arrive at Norwich with flash, just goals, just fear, just a reputation built in silence. In 1963, they paid £35,000 to take him from Luton Town. It wasn't a gamble, it was a message. They gave him the No 9 shirt. He gave them something they hadn't seen before. A striker who didn't need space. He needed height, a cross, a second of air, and the ball was gone. 66 goals in 126 games. Not a misprint, not a phase, just facts. He wasn't wild, he wasn't loud, but when the ball came in from wide, it didn't come back out. Norwich fans knew what they had. So did Wales. In April 1964, he earned his first cap, wearing red, rising higher than defenders who'd never heard his name. They heard it after. There were no shouts, no swagger, just goals, just the look in his eyes, the look of a man who didn't want applause. He wanted the ball. And then, something changed. Southampton called. They didn't just want a striker. They wanted a weapon. The price? £55,000. A record. Because even in a quiet game, everyone pays for silence that scores. No press parade. No welcome banners. Just Ron Davies, a bag, and boots that didn't need breaking in. He walked into the first division like he'd always been there, and then it started. 12 goals in his first 10 league games. No warm-up. No adjustment. No waiting. Just power. Just hang time. Just defenders grabbing shirts and praying. At the Dell, crosses weren't just deliveries. They were invitations. And Ron answered them all. They said he didn't smile, didn't celebrate, but when the ball dropped from the sky, he met it with violence, grace, and timing no one could teach. In an era of elbows, studs, and mud, he played like a ghost, untouched, but deadly. He didn't chase headlines. He chased space. And by the time fullbacks realised he was behind them, the net was already shaking. Southampton had never seen a no but 9 like him. And neither had England. This wasn't just a good start. It was the beginning of something cold, clinical, unstoppable. The First Division didn't know it yet, but they were about to live in Ron Davies' airspace. He didn't ask for applause. He just took the air. 1,966-67. First full season at the top. He didn't adapt. 37 league goals. Top scorer in England's First Division. More than Greaves. More than Best. More than anyone. The following season, he did it again. Joint top scorer with 28 goals. Joint with Best. 2 golden boots, back to back. No tricks. Just timing, courage, and blood. He didn't run around defenders. He went above them. A leap no one could match. Southampton had never had a player like this. Neither had England. They said he couldn't dribble. Said he didn't talk. Said he only scored with his head. They were wrong. Because in that stretch, he didn't just score headers. Half his goals came from open play with his feet. He finished left, right, off balance, under pressure. But it was the hang time that broke men. He'd float above the box like time slowed. Crosses weren't chances. They were death sentences. He wasn't graceful. He wasn't fast. He was something else. Inevitable. And while others chased the cameras, he walked off the pitch like nothing happened. No arms raised. No chest out. Just another match. Another net. Another silence. Old Trafford, Manchester United, Charlton, Best, Law. They came expecting a show. They got a warning. Ron Davies didn't just walk into that stadium. He took it. Southampton 4, Manchester United 1. All 4 goals from Ron Davies. All 4 headers. United couldn't stop the crosses. Couldn't stop the rise. Couldn't stop the man who floated like a rumour and landed like a weapon. John Sydenham kept sending them in. Davies kept meeting them like he was being pulled upward by something divine. The defenders tried grabbing, pulling, punching. Nothing stopped him. Not that day. After the final whistle, Sir Matt Busby didn't argue. He just said, "The finest centre-forward in Europe." No counter, no debate, just the truth, and then it was quiet. Because no one had done that at Old Trafford. Not like that. Not with that much control, that much violence, that much silence. 4 goals. No celebration, no soundbite. Just a man walking off the pitch. Like he'd done what he came to do. And still, the world forgot. That night should have made him immortal. Instead, it became a highlight reel without a statue. The goals never stopped. The body did. By the early 1970s, defenders had stopped pretending to play the ball. They played the man. They played Ron Davies. Grabs, shoulder checks, studs across the thigh, 2 hands in the ribs before the cross even left the boot. Because if you couldn't outjump him, you broke the takeoff. The laws didn't protect him. The refs looked away, and the damage built up like rust behind the ribs. Southampton stopped delivering. The service dried. The crosses weren't coming, and when they did, he wasn't getting there first anymore. The fans still saw the threat, but the league didn't care. He was a target, not a treasure. And slowly, the minutes vanished. By 1973, he'd lost his starting place. Not because he couldn't score, but because the system stopped feeding him and started chewing him up. They said he was finished, too quiet, too one-dimensional. They forgot the 37. They forgot Old Trafford. But his bones remembered every landing. His hips remembered every fall. And the silence got heavier. Southampton let him go. No parade, no goodbye, just silence. He joined Portsmouth, down the coast. Still scoring, still rising, but the pitch felt heavier. The goals didn't echo like they used to. He gave them 18 goals in 59 games, but the fire was flickering. The knees knew. The hips screamed after every jump. Then Manchester United came, the move that should have resurrected him. It didn't. He wore the shirt, but not the trust. 8 appearances all from the bench. No rhythm, no service, no belief. The same defenders who feared him 5 years ago now watched him from the other side. A legend out of sync, with a game that moved on without mercy. Loaned to Millwall. 3 games, nothing to say. Brief spell at Dorchester Town. 17 apps, 7 goals. That was the end in England. Not with a headline, not with a roar. Just a whisper and a door that closed behind him. Ron Davies didn't retire. He just disappeared. He left England quietly. No farewell. No testimonial. No thank you. Just a flight to America. He joined the LA Aztecs. Same league as George Best, but the stadiums were empty and the game felt strange. They called it the NASL. He called it a job. 69 games. 15 goals. No banners. No chants. Just sweat. Then came Tulsa. Then Seattle. 1 goal total. Not because he couldn't finish, but because the game no longer fed him. The crosses stopped. The knees gave in. The air no longer obeyed. And when it ended, it didn't end with applause. It ended with a silence so loud. It followed him for the rest of his life. He settled in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Not for football, for work. Construction jobs. Manual labour. Pain in both hips. No salary. No protection. No medals. Just the memory of Old Trafford and the sound of his partner Chris making coffee in the next room. Until 2009, when she died. And the silence came back again. This time, it stayed. In the end, it wasn't the clubs. It wasn't the press. It wasn't the game he gave everything to. It was the fans. Southampton fans. They heard what football refused to say. That Ron Davies, once the most feared striker in England, was now alone, in pain, and couldn't afford to walk properly. His hips were shattered. Years of hang time, crashes, tackles, falls, and no one came to help. Until they did, 2006. A group of Saints supporters raised the funds, 2 hip replacements, and enough left over to help him live. No club paid, no FA check, just loyalty. Because real legends don't need statues. They need memory. And his wasn't forgotten by those who saw him fly. He died in May 2013. One day, before his 71st birthday, no headlines, no cameras, just the silence again. But in 2022, that silence was broken. Southampton's Forever Saint award. Street Mary's, Norwich, in the stands. Two old clubs, one name rising again. Ron Davies. He didn't chase fame. He didn't sell boots. He didn't ask to be remembered. But those who saw him rise never forgot how high he flew. Subscribe if you still believe football is about legacy, not likes, about silence, not shouting, about men like Ron Davies, who rose without asking permission.